If you had told me back in 2013 that the best Battlefield game to come out for the next decade was going to be a game set in World War I, I'd have laughed in your face. I mean, seriously, there has been hardly any media in the past, say, 20, 30 years that focuses on this era. Mainly because, and let's be honest, who the hell even knows how World War I started? Now, obviously I know that someone somewhere shot the guy that sung Take Me Out, but the beginnings of World War I were seriously politically convoluted, and it is quite a hard war to understand the beginnings, and I think this is why a lot of games and a lot of films and a lot of other media sources have sort of shied away from the World War I setting in the past. However, what DICE did with Battlefield 1 is nothing short of spectacular. You would have thought that a game that is set in this era would have been seriously stunted by the limited amount of weapons that were available at the time. However, thanks to some sort of artistic liberties that were taken by DICE, this is not an issue in Battlefield 1. Now in today's video, I want to discuss with you guys my thoughts about Battlefield 1 and answer the question, is Battlefield 1 worth it in 2022? Whether you've never played the game before and you're wondering if it's worth your hard-earned money, or if you're a returning player and wondering if it's worth your time and that precious space on your hard drive. Now, I want to go ahead and say straight away that the short answer to this, I believe, is yes. This game, even though it is coming up to 6 years old, still holds up and is still an absolutely spectacular experience. This game has so much atmosphere to it that I've never ever played a single casual shooter like it. I really feel like the balance between that sort of realistic, gritty atmosphere, and when I say realistic, I'm not talking about the game as a whole, but just how the game feels and how you feel when you're playing it, and the total immersion that you experience when you're in these games. But they also couple this perfectly with that sort of casual shooter experience that Battlefield is known and loved for. Now, if you're like me and you're a little bit, well, actually, fuck that. Let's be honest here. If you're very disappointed with 2042, like I am, you might be thinking, what older Battlefield games should I go back and try? Now, the obvious one would be Battlefield 4. However, I do feel like Battlefield 4 still feels a little bit dated at this point. Since 2013, games have come a long way. However, I feel like Battlefield 1, maybe it's because of its setting, or maybe because games had just come on that bit further by 2016, Battlefield 1 has stood the test of time and remains to this day an absolutely stellar experience. Now look, before I go into too much detail about what I love about this game, I do want to get some caveats out of the way first, some things that I really feel like you should know before you dive into buying or playing this game once again. First of all, my experience of this game has been on PC. What this means is a lot of the servers that I've been playing in, unfortunately, I have been running into a fair few cheaters. Not to say that that is every single game. However, if you do find a server that you really enjoy playing on and a cheater happens to also be in that lobby, it can be super frustrating. Me personally, I mainly play on the operations game mode, which I'll talk about more in a minute, and I find that there are only about 8 servers in my region active at any one time, and if 2 or 3 of them have got cheaters in them, it can make for quite a frustrating gaming experience. That's not to say that I want to fully detract you from playing this game. However, I do feel like I would be doing you a misjustice if I didn't at least mention this. And rolling on from that, I really can't attest to the quality of the game on console. I played it on console last about 3 years ago, and obviously I loved it then. This is probably my most played Battlefield game of all time. I love Battlefield 4, but there was something about Battlefield 1 that just hit me and just stuck with me for years to come. So I have played this game a hell of a lot on Xbox. However, I can't attest to how it feels in this day and age right now, especially on the new consoles. However, I do know for a fact that if you have an Xbox Series X, you will be able to play this game at 120Hz in 1080p, which will make your experience so much better than what you might have played in the past, providing that you have a monitor or TV that does support the 120Hz mode. Now, with those things out of the way, I would just like to go through a few of my opinions about Battlefield 1 on the whole. Not necessarily about how it stands right now, but how I feel about the game, the whole experience when it culminates together into the amazing package that is Battlefield 1. First things first, the thing I have to talk about the most, and the thing that I really think sells this game and drives this game to be one of my favorite games of all time, has to be the atmosphere. Honestly, and I'm not taking the piss here, I could turn the volume up in any one of these clips in the background now and you'd be able to see just how awesome the soundscape, the gunshots going off, the explosions next to you, your fellow soldiers screaming as they get shot and blown up. Like seriously, when this game first came out and I was playing sort of 6-7 hours a day, I would go to sleep and I'd still hear those fuckers screaming whilst I was trying to close my eyes. It felt like I was getting some sort of early onset PTSD, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it was fucking awesome. Not to glorify PTSD, but in this sort of gaming sense, the immersion here is unrivaled. I've never played a game that sucks you in so well as Battlefield 1. Now, another thing that is great about Battlefield 1 that I really like is the progression and the weapons that are available in the game. When the game was first announced, I was a bit worried that we'd only have these sort of single action rifles that would all get a bit boring in time. However, as I mentioned earlier, they did take a few sort of creative liberties with the weaponry, and you have guns in the game that maybe weren't exactly in the field in World War I, but they were at least talked about, or maybe there had been made some prototypes of these weapons. And what this means is that there is actually a wide variety of guns that you can use within this game. Now, on top of that, the way that the mechanics work with the gunplay, I find, is absolutely awesome. The recoil to these guns feels really weighty, and as a result, so does your character. As you run around, you don't feel like you're slipping and sliding like you do in Battlefield 2042. The slide mechanics feel really weighted, and you don't just slide like the floor's been greased up with fucking butter. And as your character moves around corners and leans and peeks over cover, you really feel like there is purpose to your movement, and it all lends itself to really fully immersing you in this game. As well as this, the skill gap comes in the gunplay. Each gun has a very, very different way that you're meant to be playing it. Maybe you want to run and gun with the MP18 Trench, which has extremely good hip fire accuracy. Or maybe you're into other types of guns that have a slower rate of fire and are more better used when you're focusing on those mid-range targets and you're tapping them off with extreme precision. Also, there are guns like the Martini Henry, which is a sniper rifle with no optic that you load one fat-ass fucking bullet into at a time, but the payoff for that is that it's a one-shot kill up to 100 meters anywhere above the chest. All of these things added together make for a really unique experience and will make you want to try each and every gun, and you'll be able to master each and every gun and the things that they excel at best. The thing is with Battlefield 1, the state that it's in today in 2022, with all of the DLC out, with all of the patches in the past that have gone, the balancing is a place that isn't exactly perfect, but is still really, really good and a lot better than what we're experiencing right now with games like Battlefield 2042. I honestly can't recommend this experience enough. The problem is, although this game is an amazing experience, I really don't think that you'd be able to spend too much time on it. If you want to make this your main game, you might find yourself getting disappointed with the lack of server availability at sort of off-peak hours. Or perhaps if you are playing on PC, there are going to be quite a few cheaters, which seriously spoils the enjoyment for the whole thing. But if you can look past those things, and if you want to experience this game in its full glory, right now is probably the best time ever. Hardware on PCs has gotten to a point where you'll be able to play this game at full graphics and experience it with 120 plus frames. And the same can be said for console too. There's never been a better time to play Battlefield 1 as long as you can look past a few of these downfalls. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I do implore you guys to go and try Battlefield 1 once again. It truly is an amazing experience, and I really don't think you'd regret spending your time on it. Now, for those of you who have watched my videos for a while, you'll know that I love to see who sticks around until the end. So if you're still here, I'd like you to let me know by answering this question down in the comments. Would you rather have to wrestle a bear once every 5 years, or fight a tiny chihuahua every time you get in the car? Anyway, that's it from me today. I'm Average Joel. Peace.